Hello, my name is Matthias Cavaldi. The welcome guys to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the Spider-Man House of M tie-in. That's 4 issues long, and I was really surprised to see who wrote it because it's a pretty good story. It's written by Waid. I'm pretty indifferent to his work. Like a lot of times, I just feel it's okay, but this one's really good. There's another writer credited too. His name is Peyer. I think. Let me just double check here. Yeah, and we have fantastic art by Salvador Larroca. Killer job. I always love his work, and I really do recommend reading this because normally, like Waid, I always feel he's pretty mediocre. He just does an okay job. He's pretty ambitious with some of his ideas. He tries to work in some high concepts, but a lot of times they just fall flat on their face. At least my personal experience with Waid's work. But this one is really good because have this situation with Peter Parker Spider-Man that he does a lot of questionable stuff, and Waid and the other Tom do not try to explain it. They just leave it to your interpretation, but not in a lazy way. They do it in a pretty good way. So you sort of have to interpret what's going on and why Spidey's doing what he does. And at least for me, it adds a lot to the story. So what happens? Prior to this, in the House of M crossover, one of the best ones in Marvel history. It's up there with Secret Invasion, Age of Apocalypse, Inferno, all my favorites. Miller, sorry, I was getting ahead of myself. Scarlet Witch creates this alternate reality. It's a utopia. In this utopia, like everyone sort of gets what they want and what makes them happy. Most people within the Marvel universe. And we're going to get into that with Peter Parker. But the heroes realize something's wrong. They just feel everything's sort of off. Wolverine, I think, is like one of the first ones to wake up. And they find this mutant called Layla Miller, who has the ability of waking everyone up. Everyone thinks it's Magneto because he's like the great leader of this reality. There's a really awesome battle at the end, and the big reveal that Scarlet Witch is the one behind it. So, sorry if I spoiled a 20-year-old story. But outside of that, in the case of Spider-Man, he has a very idyllic life. He got married to Gwen Stacy. He's famous. He's rich. And as you can see here, he just got woken up by Layla Miller. So he discovers that his whole life is a lie. Ben is still alive. Captain Stacy is also still alive. So this pretty much breaks Spider-Man's mind. Like, he doesn't know how to deal with this. Another thing is that Mary Jane is part of his life, but obviously he's not married to her. Spidey's even got kids. Everything's perfect, but Spidey's just dealing with one. He realizes this is not his life. He's feeling guilt. He's trying to live with all these people that he loves so much, but have sort of died to things relative to his actions. It's just a really messed up situation for him, and he doesn't know what to do, to the point that it just breaks his mind. And what he actually does, spoilers, is that he sets out to actually destroy this life that he thinks he doesn't deserve. He actually becomes the Green Goblin in this story. And so the main premise of what happens after that, Green Goblin goes to J. Jonah Jameson, who works for Spidey. But at this moment, he's like a disgruntled employee. He gives him a little diary telling the world, because that's one thing. In this reality, he's posing as a mutant, because obviously mutants are the ruling class. And even though they're not persecuting humans like would normally happen in the normal Marvel universe, humans would persecute mutants. There's like some injustices, but it's not as bad. Mutants can acquire the non-mutants, can acquire the riches and fame that Spidey has, because again, he was posing as a mutant. So he gives this diary to J. Jonah Jameson. He takes it public. The world discovers that Spider-Man's a lie, that he's not a mutant. And what happens is that there starts to be human-mutant riots over this whole situation with Spider-Man. And I gotta say, I really love the Spider-Man costume for the House of M universe. I think it looks really cool. And another thing that I really liked about this story is that Gwen Stacy's in it. up until this moment, now she's all over the place. Obviously, she's not the one we got nowadays. Is not the 616 Gwen Stacy with Gwenpool or Spider Gwen. But it was just really weird to see Gwen Stacy in the story, so this added just a lot of weight. And another thing is like Spider-Man has to see that other people are hitting on Mary Jane. It's like really tough for him. Like after the House of M ends, like Spider-Man is really messed up in the final chapter of the story. It's like no one remembers what happened in the House of M, but for some reason he does, and it's just like he's really, really pissed off with the whole situation. So I was gonna say we got these race wars, but it's not humans and mutants. I think they're considered different species, even though mutants don't exist. So we got these species wars, or whatever the difference would be. Things are getting really bad, and what Spider-Man ends up deciding to do is actually pretty hardcore. He actually fakes his own suicide in this full-page illustration. It's pretty rough. The end of the story. And what he does is he actually offers Magneto to say, hey, look, I'm going to be off the scene. I'm not going to be a pain anymore, but just don't hunt me down. Leave me alone. So I'm going to leave it here. And, again, I got to say Salvador Larroca's art is just fantastic, and it's aged really well. So see you guys next time. Bye.